Previously at the House of Hypertrophy, we saw the interference effect. The idea cardio kills gains is not as big as people think. Updated analyses fail to find combining cardio with resistance training impairs muscle and strength gains. In this video, however, we're going to assess a thought that's probably rarely crossed most people's minds. Could cardio benefit long-term muscle hypertrophy? The scientific literature indicates in certain cases it could. A recent study from Canada recruited 14 untrained individuals. One leg cycled with these variables for 3 times per week for 6 weeks. The other leg, in these 6 weeks, did nothing. Then, in the next 10 weeks, both legs were trained bilaterally with squats, leg presses, leg extensions, hamstring curls, and calf raises, using these variables. By the end of these 10 weeks, it was found slow and fast twitch fiber growth tended to be superior for the leg that cycled for 6 weeks beforehand, versus the leg that didn't do anything in these first 6 weeks. Therefore, cycling for 6 weeks before a 10-week resistance training period increased the muscle hypertrophy produced. Why? The 6 weeks of cycling produced significant increases in capillary density, and the researchers found a correlation between these capillary density increases and the subsequent slow and fast twitch fiber hypertrophy. Furthermore, when the researchers examined the high responding and low responding legs, the highest responding legs had greater capillary density versus the low responding legs. Capillaries are tiny blood vessels that deliver oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and other things to muscle fibers. And this study suggests capillaries may be quite important for muscle hypertrophy, something a lot of people are probably unaware of. Now, like all studies, this study has limitations. The subjects were previously untrained and had an average BMI falling in the overweight range. Furthermore, biopsies were used to assess fiber hypertrophy, and as noted in previous videos, these have limitations and are far from a perfect and clean measurement. But even with these limitations in mind, I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss this study, because other supporting data exists. The implication of the study is aerobic training benefits muscle hypertrophy by increasing capillary density. Indeed, other studies support the link between capillary density and hypertrophy. Data on younger individuals links capillarization to satellite cell activation and expansion, events likely associated with recovery from training and sustaining long-term muscle hypertrophy. A 2017 Canadian study in older men found those with lower capillary density saw lower fast-twitch fiber hypertrophy compared to those with higher capillarization. Another 2019 USA study found similar things in older individuals. Those with lower capillary density saw lower fiber hypertrophy compared to those with higher capillarization. As noted, capillaries are tiny blood vessels that deliver oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and other things to muscle fibers. It's logical that increasing capillary density benefits recovery and supports the process of growing muscle fibers. Linked to this, Greg Knuckles from Stronger by Science provides a nice potential explanation. As muscle fibers grow, all the stuff inside the muscle fibers get further away on average. To avoid an intracellular energy crisis, it makes sense that fibers either need to stop growing or experience an increase in capillary density to allow for further growth. It's also worth recognizing lifting weights is quite aerobically demanding, despite what it may seem. For example, a 200-meter sprint, something considered very anaerobic, still involves a 29% contribution from the aerobic system. Recovery between sets, performance on later sets in a session, and recovery between sessions are going to be reliant on the aerobic system to a large degree, so increased capillary density may benefit all these things. Besides capillaries, other endurance gains may also be useful for muscle hypertrophy. Mitochondria are organelles involved in generating energy for various biochemical and physiological processes. Fascinatingly, a 2018 study from the USA found those who experienced the best hypertrophy responses tended to have greater mitochondrial volume versus lower hypertrophy responders. The researchers speculated this may be because creating the proteins that make muscles larger is an energetically costly process, and mitochondria can aid this process. Furthermore, in vitro studies have associated mitochondrial volume and function to cell growth. Also, mitochondria will play a role in recovery between sets, performance on later sets in a session, and recovery between sessions. It's important to mention I'm not saying maximizing endurance adaptations is needed. Just enhancing them to a degree may be beneficial for long-term hypertrophy. In the initial study, the aerobic training performed in the first 6 weeks was far from intense or demanding. I'm wondering if just performing this concurrently with resistance training still provides benefit. Indeed, although the overall literature finds no compromised hypertrophy when performing cardio and resistance training concurrently, there have been some studies finding better hypertrophy with concurrent cardio and resistance training. Some of these studies also find that slow twitch fiber hypertrophy is enhanced when performing cardio and resistance training concurrently. So this might also be a specific benefit of additional cardio training. It may selectively enhance slow twitch fiber hypertrophy. These fibers are typically harder to grow versus fast twitch fibers. Therefore, ignoring extreme circumstances, you're very highly trained or you're performing extreme amounts of volume, I think it's very possible some individuals may experience enhanced hypertrophy with concurrent cardio and resistance training. As an alternative to this, you could aim to do something similar to the initial study. Alternate between periods of aerobic training and resistance training. Many fear weeks of no resistance training will completely reverse all your gains and make all your previous resistance training a waste. This simply isn't true. This 2013 Japanese study had one group train for 24 weeks straight, while another group trained for 6 weeks and rested for 3 weeks across the full 24 weeks. After the 24th week, chest, triceps, and bench press strength gains were similar between both groups. We can see that although the group lost strength and size during their 3-week breaks, their gains were quick to rebound upon resuming training. Imagine during these 3 weeks off, they performed cardio. Could this have benefited hypertrophy? Furthermore, as explored in a previous video, there are potential mechanisms by which resistance training breaks could reset various anabolic pathways, potentially benefiting long-term hypertrophy too. A third option, as detailed by Greg Nuckols, is alternating between periods of concurrent training and periods where you only perform resistance training. If you're highly trained and/or performing very high resistance training volumes, it's fine if your rate of gains is slower in the concurrent training period. Your gains during the resistance training only period might be enhanced thanks to the endurance gains from concurrent training. Finally, the data assessed throughout this video may also allude to the beneficial effects of higher reps. Higher reps can certainly be great for building muscle, and higher reps better promote overall endurance adaptations. It might be speculated that in the long term, including higher reps in your training could be beneficial for hypertrophy thanks to the endurance gains. More data is needed to verify this. Moreover, if you're performing cardio, remember the local endurance gains are specific to the muscles involved. So unless a person performs a variety of cardio that covers the upper and lower body, the muscle groups not trained with cardio may benefit from higher reps. In certain cases, various lines of scientific evidence suggest cardio may benefit muscle hypertrophy. It appears an increase in capillary density, mitochondrial volume, and potentially selective hypertrophy of slow twitch fibers are candidates linking cardio to better overall hypertrophy. Furthermore, endurance adaptations may enhance recovery between sets, performance on later sets in a session, and recovery between sessions. I rarely accept sponsors at the House of Hypertrophy, as I don't know or trust many companies reaching out, but I've been in contact with Alpha Progression, a truly unique and advanced fitness app. You can add your own program or use their custom workout generator that produces excellent programs. You can periodize reps and reserves and sets, and schedule deload weeks. The custom workouts can still be edited to your liking, workouts can be tracked live, and the app generates solid progression recommendations across sessions. It has a clean design with a database of more than 450 exercises with great text and video tutorials. Aesthetic graphs can track virtually any measure across time, like bench press strength, number of workouts a week, body weight, and even set numbers per muscle group and circumference measures of body regions. The link in the comments and description takes you to the app, and by using this link you'll have 2 weeks free of all its features, plus 20% off a yearly or monthly subscription. If you do purchase the app, House of Hypertrophy will get 50%, so this sincerely helps support these free videos. Thank you. Finally, I have a free ultimate guide to bench pressing ebook that covers these areas. Feel free to get it in the link in the comments and description.